Hi guys, in this video we're going to be looking at how much does it cost to do a 1-year MBA program in India through the GMAT route. Obviously I'm talking about the PGPX programs offered by the IIMs and also the 1-year PGP program offered by ISB. Right? This is a question that quite often a lot of our students midway through their GMAT preparation will come and ask me, see, if I do an MBA in India, how much is it likely to cost? If I do an MBA outside India, let's say in the US, how much does it cost? We're doing a separate video for how much does it cost to do an MBA outside India. This focus is on the 1-year MBA programs in India. We're going to split the cost primarily into three parts. One, what does it cost in terms of the fees that you pay the institute? Second, what is the cost on your personal account? So let's keep that as part 2. And third, there's one more component of the cost, which is going to be looking at what is it that you will be spending in the pre-MBA phase, right? So let's look at all of these things and look at an overall cost element that you should be budgeting for if you think of a 1-year MBA program in India. Let's get started with the main component, which is the fees. How much was the fees in 2019-2020? It was as low as 21 lakhs for IIM Bangalore's ePGP program, and it was as high as 35 lakhs for the ISB program. And let's average it out, let's say it's about 28 lakhs. This is a number I'm going to take when I'm going to give you a final cost estimate. This is what you pay the institute, this is what you pay the school for the academic component, and in all of these cases, it also includes your lodging component, what you pay to stay for an individual accommodation in the school during your 1-year MBA program. So this number, we'll take it as a 28 lakhs. The second component, what you spend on your personal account. I'm going to split this into two parts. Right? The first part is what you will be spending as a student while you are in the school. The big component there is going to be boarding. I'm calling it as boarding and food for the simple reason I want to bring a distinction between the two. The boarding is what you will pay probably to the mess, right? It would either be a fixed amount that you will be paying month on month, or it's going to be a share basis amount. Over and above that, if you're in a business school, quite often ask anyone who is in a business school, people do really a lot of late nights. They probably sleep as late as 4 in the morning. So which means there's a night canteen which is operating. So you eat food over and above what you typically eat during the regular working day in a work environment. If you're working in a corporate, you'd probably have 3 meals in a day and probably throw in a snack. Here you're probably going to have a couple of late night snacks, one at 11 or 12 in the night and one at 3:30 in the morning. So all of those expenses have been included. To put a number on this, I think this number would be about 10,000 to 25,000 depending upon how much you spend on the night canteen and what kind of food you eat. So let's average it out to about 15,000 rupees. That's a number I'm looking at. 15,000 rupees per month is what you'll be spending on boarding and food on your account as a student. Second component that comes is basically all of these. You'll probably travel thrice to your hometown during this course. And if you're not living very close to the place where you study, for example, if you live in Baroda and you study in IIM Ahmedabad, cost of traveling is practically nil. But for anything else, you're talking about air travel cost. Going to be cost related to project related expenses. You would do surveys, you would travel from one place to another place. All of those project related costs would be included. Third, books, and to books I'll also include personal upkeep in some sense. If you're going to be looking at interviewing a year down the line, you'll need good suits and all of those things, right? So all those thrown in. And lastly, I'm calling it as laptop, but think of it as computing and communication device. You might probably want a good laptop with an i7 processor or the equivalent of that, or you might look at an M1 book these days, which are like the latest thing from Apple. You might want a tablet, which probably helps you make your presentations better. So an iPad on top of a laptop and probably a good and up-to-date phone. So all of these are included in the laptop cost. So how much will this work out to? I'm saying this entire thing is likely to set you back by about 2.5 lakhs. This is 15,000 per month is what we have kept in mind. For how many months do you plan for it? I want you to plan it for 15 months. Simple reason being that about a month before you join the business school is when you are likely to quit your job. And after your MBA program is over, the joining date in the new job is going to be about 2 months from the time you finish the course. Sometimes it could be earlier. So I'm saying 12 months in the school, 1 month before, 2 months after. So typically think of this 15,000 rupees that you're going to be spending on your account for 15-month period. So that's a 2.25 lakhs plus 2.5 lakhs on this account. Let's round it all off to make it to about 5 lakhs, right? So this is what we have in mind. So I want you in all of these counts, thinking of the fees as 28 lakhs and 5 lakhs on this count, start early in terms of planning it. So if you have already incurred some loans and other things, look at how quickly you can finish their loans so that when you're coming into this part, you are not found wanting. So we know what we are going to be spending on the student count, both academically and extra over and above the academics, what you need. This number right now works out to about 33 lakhs. Let's also look at a second component when you will be at school. This is something as a number I do not know, but I want you to keep track of this number. If you are a primary breadwinner or if you are a key contributor to your family's finances, right? In that case, you need to know what is going to be the monthly running expenses. Set that aside also for 15 months and probably multiply it with a factor of 1.2 to provide from safety margin, right? I'll leave that number to you. If you have existing EMIs, you might have borrowed it for home loan, you might have borrowed it for a vehicle loan, whatever it is, see if some of those things, if they are short tenure EMIs, can you prepay and finish it? If they are long tenure EMIs, let's look at how to manage that at a later date. So keep these EMI component outflow also into the scheme of things as to the amount of money that you need to set aside during your absence of work and you're going to be at a school. Third, this is very important, medical expenses is one part. I've called it as insurance in general. Take this to heart, please do these two things. One, take a term insurance. It's not going to give you back any money. At least take a term insurance for the component of the overall cost element that I'm going to say that you should be budgeting when you're in a business school. Should there be a need, something goes wrong, you would not want people who are dependent on you to be basically wondering how to repay the loan that has been taken on these accounts, right? So definitely take a term insurance that basically mitigates the financial risk if something goes wrong, and also take a medical insurance for you and your family so that when you're in school, something happens health-wise to you or your family, no one should be wondering how are we going to top it up on top of the other expenses that you have incurred during the PGPX or the PGP program, right? So insurance is definitely a must. It's a small expense. Don't think of it as a waste. It's probably going to set you back by about 30,000-40,000 rupees, including the term insurance and medical insurance for the family. But it is definitely going to give you a lot of peace of mind. So budget this as part of the family expense component. Set up an emergency fund. Dip into family savings. Have some friends and family pool in fund. So if something goes wrong, you have someone who can back up for you, who can cover your back at that point in time. Right? These are the things to keep in mind. So I'm going to leave this to you. I'm not going to spend too much time here. So let's move on from here. Right? So where do you get loan for the lion's share, the 28 lakhs that you're talking about? Major nationalized banks provide loans for it. The moment you get an admit, quite often you're likely to be given information from the school itself saying that these are the banks with which the institute has got an informal tie-up or a formal tie-up. So if you have an admit from the school, you probably are immediately pre-qualified to get a loan from them. If it's a nationalized bank, the rates are going to be about 8 to 10%. Same holds good for even private sector banks, which are like scheduled banks, right? So basically, if you go with an ICICI or a HDFC, their bank rate, interest rates are not going to be substantially different from what a nationalized bank is going to give you. So this is something to fund the 28 lakhs and sometimes even to fund the 28 lakhs plus 5 lakhs, which is a student component of it, is kind of taken care of. Unless you have too much, you have over leveraged yourself pre-MBA, that your financial credit worthiness is a question mark for them, you're not going to be found wanting for this component. So if you're like a normal person, not with too much loans before your MBA, then this is taken for granted, not to worry about it. Where else can you find loans? In addition to nationalized banks, these are private providers. NBFCs like HDFC Credila, DHFL, Avance, they provide loans. Private financial services like Prodigy provide loans. The only thing is their paperwork and process might be a little easier. They might top up a greater amount for you than what a nationalized bank would do. But the flip side to it is their rates might be a little higher than what you will find with nationalized banks. So you have options outside of the typical banking system in terms of private financial services, focusing on education and NBFCs, right? So these are two things which you can keep in mind. Third, if you had been working, if you're actually applying for a PGPX program, you'll have nothing less than 5 to 6 years of work experience. If you had worked for a large enough company which had a PF, this PF is something that you probably did not really like when you were working, right? There was some amount of money which was always taken away from the salary that what you thought was due to you. This comes in handy. After 60 straight days of unemployment, put in your papers, 60 days of unemployment, 1 or 2 months into your MBA program, you can dip into this fund. And if it's a tidy sum of money, that is something which you can take into the component of money that is a fund available to you. You can look at funding the balance outside of this, because this is anyway going to be of not, the moment you start working post MBA, the kind of salary that you will be getting is going to be much higher. Whatever provident fund you are withdrawing right now can be easily compensated multiple times with a post MBA salary. At this point in time, this could come in handy. I was talking about if you had gone in for a long tenure EMI, like a home loan EMI, go and start discussing with the bank the moment your GMAT examination is over. The moment you have an admit letter from the school, one of these times is a time that you should actually go to your bank, the home loan provider, and see if you can look at a moratorium on the loan for a fee that you're going to be paying. Or can they extend the tenure of the loan further so that the EMI outflow per month is lower? Do all of these discussions. This would mitigate the financial outflow, especially during those 15 months when you're not going to be earning a salary and you're going to be spending on top of it for an MBA program. Right? These are ways of going about it. Last but not the least, If I'd been one of those smart people to start with, who started saving right from the start, you have fixed deposits, you have stocks, you have NPS, you have jewels, you have real estate, any of these things, find an interesting way to raise money out of it. You could mortgage your real estate, mortgage your jewels, sell some stocks, do whatever it is. I'm not a financial advisor here, but I'm just throwing open possibilities. Sometimes breaking a fixed deposit, you can make it multiple times over post MBA. So don't really worry about breaking a fixed deposit if that is something which you're like close to your heart, right? So these are all ways of funding it. These two primarily to look at the education component, the academic component of it. These for what you would require as a student or to fund the bridge the family financing component, right? So looked at where you can look at money to go for these two. The last component which I want to touch upon is the pre-MBA component. The GMAT exam fees itself, just $250+. I'll assume that you're going to be writing it twice, so I'll budget for $500 plus the cost of sending your scores to schools and all of those things. Let's round it off to a 50,000 Indian rupee as a number I'm looking at. What else is that? Application cost for each of these schools ranges from 2,000 to 7,000 rupees. Let's again round it off to 5,000 rupees for 5 schools. That's about 25,000. 50 plus 25, that makes it as 75,000. I'm going to top it up with about 25 to 40,000 rupees in application assistance, right? Basically, you write an application, you would typically want someone to edit it and send in an application which is well edited one, which is what is going to make your stories more compelling. You're trying to make an investment which is of 50 lakhs, in the order of 50 lakhs, right? 1% of that amount is 50,000. Investing that to get a good application is definitely worth it, right? Even if you write well, even if you're a speech writer for the president of US, I'll still recommend push it to someone who's already done an MBA. They will be able to guide you as to how you should position your application essay. So I'm going to put in another 50,000 for this. So talking about the order of 1.2 to 1.25 lakhs till now. What else is missing? One key component. That's a GMAT preparation expense. If you go with Wizako, Wizako is one company, right? We very honestly want to make this component the most meaningful for students. We have our online courses which are priced as low as 3,000, 3,500 Indian rupees to ensure that you can get on board to your GMAT preparation, which is very comprehensive at that price. We have live online classes which are not going to break your pocket, right? Break your back or like take everything from your pocket. It's not going to burn a hole in your pocket. Very meaningful courses. You can check us out for this thing, right? So these are all the components of your pre-MBA. The total cost, give or take, is about 1.5. You can round it off to even 2 lakhs. So got all these cost components into place. We're going to put it all in a chart so we know what we are talking about. Fees at the business school is 28 lakhs. Student expense on your account, which is 5 lakhs, which is about 2.5 lakhs for food and boarding expenses, as I call it, and another 2.5 lakhs for other expenses, which includes laptop, travel, and the likes, right? 2 lakhs, which is pre-MBA, and I'm throwing in an opportunity cost, which is what you would have earned had you been continuing with this pre-MBA job. I'm taking that number to be about 10 lakhs. So we're talking about 45 lakhs. Some of it actual outflow, some of this not having an inflow. So cost of doing an MBA in India, a 1-year program, is of the order of 45 lakhs. If you're doing it in ISB, just add another 10 lakhs to it. So give or take, it's between 45 lakhs and 55 lakhs is what we are looking at. Now that we know what is going to be the outflow, next question, is it actually financially sensible decision to do an MBA in India? We'll look at it in a separate video. Watch out, the next video is probably a week away. I'm going to discuss as to whether it makes sense. Should you go for it? Should you not go for it? We'll do it at that point in time. So what next, guys? You have a handle on this number. It's 45 lakhs. It's not going to be 4 lakhs. It's not 1 crore. 45 could be 42. 45 could be 48, right? You know the order of magnitude. Don't waste any more time on figuring out or fine-tuning this number. Get started with your GMAT preparation. Without a good GMAT score, none of this is meaningful. This is just an empty exercise. A good GMAT score is something of the order of 700 plus. A 700 plus with a rest of a well-rounded resume is going to get you an admit into these top schools. The PGPX programs of ABCL, the ISB program. Start today, at the end of December, beginning of January 2021. Give yourself 4 months, 5 months. By May end, you should be able to write the GMAT and bank the score of 720. How do you go about preparing for the GMAT? If you're someone who has a lot of discipline, who can do self-study preparation, pick one of Wizako's online GMAT courses. Or on the contrary, if you're someone who needs a very disciplined, structured way of someone pushing you to prepare for the GMAT, join our live online classes. Both of these are basically meant to make you exam ready, battle ready, so that you crack the 700 plus in the GMAT. Think GMAT, think Wizako, get started. Give us a call today. Best wishes.